Good morning. All right. Good morning. It's another beautiful day in Chicago. How about it? We're going to get up to 80 degrees today. Sun's going to shine.
It's going to be glorious. And it's going to be glorious all week, pretty much.
Absolutely. It's awesome. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Ann Rossley here with Kyle Harvey. We sell real estate in downtown Chicago, and we're excited to talk to you about lots of fun things today. Today, we're talking about Halloween. We're talking about garbage. We're talking about real estate. We got it all.
Got it all. Halloween and garbage, two topics that go right hand in hand.
Exactly right. And folks, you can't get it anywhere but here.
All right, let's do stats.
Okay, so
Hot coffee.
okay, so this is usually I geek out on stats. This is a shorty. And this is from Keeping Current Matters, the lakefront communities. What they do differently is they combine single family homes and condos and just give you straight up numbers. Usually, we break it down. Today it's all encompassing. They have us at 2,584 active listings right now, which is 139 more than last month. So that's a good uptick. The pending listing of 1,072 is 130 less than last month. Yeah, and number of homes with price reductions. This is a stat I typically don't chart, so this is a fun one. 480.
Wait. Let's go back. Pending, everybody, means that all contingencies are finished and it's ready to close. So that's a lot less than last month.
Yeah. 482 have had price reductions, 74 more than last month. Sellers are starting to say, if I haven't sold, it's time to think about a price reduction.
Yeah.
The median list price, this is again, single family and condo, 508.8 thousand. 34 is the median number of days on the market. The median list price per square foot is 360.
Wow.
And the total listing count, I don't see the active listing count at the top versus total listing count.
I wonder if total includes
pendings, probably.
I wonder if it includes privates, does it? Everyone, I'm sorry, I've got something in my eye.
Yeah, I don't know. I should shoot them a question and ask.
Yeah.
And 3 months worth of inventory. That's pretty much where we've been lately. So that's that. Rates ticked up this week.
But they'll come down. Look at the bump. That's always how it's going to be. It's never
yeah, exactly. And again, that's what Keeping Matters says to us, that everybody says they're coming down. Excuse me. Everybody says they're coming down, but it's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be above. Yeah.
And so don't pay attention to the week ticks. Just look at overall.
Don't pay attention to this weekly number we give you.
No.
Just tell them, Kyle. Don't pay attention.
Okay.
You're cracking me up. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not giving all of the Zumper again, except to say the basic number was we're down 7% versus last month, but 7% up versus previous year in terms of price, which is right in with inflation, well, actually a little ahead of inflation, but, and you can see it by bedrooms here. The 1 bedrooms, the average rent's $2,238, down 9% versus last 30 days, but up 6% over last year. Interesting.
Why are rents, yes, 1 bedrooms are up and studios are up pretty significantly, but it's not up as much as it could have been up, considering that there's so little inventory to buy. I'm just wondering. Tell me your thoughts.
I think some of it is seasonal.
Yeah.
At this time of year, you have fewer renters out there. but there's still overall less
September,
inventory.
October, big months for renting.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just very interesting I don't know what the answer is.
I don't know that I have a big answer for it. If anybody out there watching us has never rented an apartment in Chicago, these do include not just condos, but apartment buildings. And they have these algorithms. And the number you get from one apartment building today may not be the number you get from that same apartment building tomorrow, because based on demand.
And we'll come to that in a future presentation, but or not future, coming up presentation. It's interesting. So some of these buildings that one of the reasons I sort of like to help people rent condos is because they don't have these algorithms that are helping them run an entire building. Because sometimes you can't get a year's lease. You can only get 9 months because they anticipate that they'll be able to raise it. It's all they've got models, and the nice thing about renting a condo is you've got a person, an owner, who wants to rent out their investment, and you get just much more stable increases, if any, and much more just on it.
Yes.
Just better in some ways.
Absolutely right. So, okay, we haven't talked about this in a few episodes. And, when we listen to our economist from leading real estate companies of the world, she talks about real estate being a confidence or an expectation. It's not even so much where rates are today, it's what we expect them to be tomorrow, what prices are today, yeah, but also where prices going, right? If you have confidence that Chicago is a great investment, you may jump into the market versus if you think it's not. So anyway, I decided to pull it up, and Dana Peterson, the chief economist at the conference board, says consumer confidence has dropped in September to near the bottom of the narrow range that's prevailed over the last 2 years.
Okay.
So if you just look at starting at like 2022 and a half, we're like at the bottom of that. Okay. She says September's decline was the largest since August 21, and all 5 components of the index deteriorated. The proportion of consumers anticipating a recession over the next 12 months remained low, but there was a slight uptick in the percentage of consumers believing the economy was already in a recession.
Which is weird because we're not.
I know. Again, this is what people think, right or wrong or whatever. The share of consumers expecting higher interest rates over the next 12 months dropped for the 4th month in a row, as it should, because they will. Meanwhile, consumers' expectations for the stock market stabilized. 25% of consumers expect stock prices to fall over the year ahead, while 47.6% expect stock prices to rise. And of course, we all know it's a zero-sum game. So they're okay. While still positive, consumers' assessments of their family's financial situation, both current and expected over the next 6 months, weakened in September compared to August. And the final point, on a 6-month moving basis, like a rolling average, purchasing plans for homes and new cars improved slightly. So there you go. So it's a generally positive.
Interesting.
Keep in mind that was a September number.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I don't know what consumer sentiment is doing. All of a sudden, this past weekend, I got a ton of showings on my listing. I'm like, where did this all come from? After a very quiet period. And a lot of them are people returning to Chicago or deciding to stay.
Right.
And I was like, wow. And remember, this is all anecdotal. This is just one teeny tiny slice, but I was really struck by how many people. One was a British couple who they could have gone back to the UK after their overseas assignment, and the worker decided he wanted to stay and to keep the family here in the States because they loved the States and they loved Chicago. And I've had overwhelmingly the people who've come to see my luxury listings have been people who have said, I'm coming here for the weather. You know, when did that happen? And we're coming up on winter.
Right.
So it's just very interesting to see the perception, how quickly perceptions can change.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's
No,
all.
I just put a buyer into a home this week who sold her Miami home and came up to Chicago. So
Yeah, so it's just, we're going to keep following this because it's interesting. It's good for the city that we get to follow this, but or that this is happening, but it's exciting. Anyway, let's look at my ridiculousness on Halloween.
okay, which one do I do? The Happy Halloween one or the
One.
okay, there we go.
Okay, so happy Halloween, everyone. Halloween is coming, and the reason I walked around, I live in the Gold Coast of Chicago, which I sort of think of between North Avenue on the north and really, I sort of stop it at Oak Street, but anyway, and then east from the lake to west to about LaSalle. That's what I think of as sort of core Gold Coast. And there is on my street lots of very fancy homes. And these very fancy homes have decided to decorate for Halloween. And they
it's October 21st and they're already decked to the nines.
Already decked.
Yeah.
This is a new house that tore down. Do you remember these two little workers' cottages that were on State between Scott and Goethe on the east side of the street? One got torn down for a multifamily building, which is to the right of this picture. And then the other one got torn down and built to this fancy house, which I believe is owned by an athlete. But anyway, this is what the family has done in their front yard. It's kind of cute. They better be there on Halloween night for trick-or-treaters. This has this house is across the street from that. And this is the Wicked Witch of the West being clunked by the potted plant, her legs up in the air, pumpkins everywhere, a witch up in the corner. You guys see the witch up in the
Oh, right.
I mean,
You had to point that out to me. I hadn't seen it. Yeah.
It's really very cute. People, these are my photographs, which shows you how tragic I am with a camera. This is down the street. This house, I think, was on the market for $4 or $5 million at one point. And and they've got skeletons everywhere and behind fences, so it's a little hard to see. Pumpkins. It's actually kind of darling. And they're, you see up here a bird skeleton. Do you see up in the upper right hand corner?
Right, I do. Yes.
This is another house with skeletons and pumpkins. It seems to be a skeleton Halloween for everybody. So this is a beautiful house that is just covered in cobwebs and spiders. If you get close, you can see there are more spiders all around, but and pumpkins. It's darling. Historically, these people have given out very good Halloween candy, so I'm hoping they'll do that. Okay, this sort of creeped me out. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, my daughter Lizzie cannot stand crazy clowns. That would freak her out. That's creepy. Is that like a little carousel kind of looking thing? Is that what that is?
Carousel, and it's in the Parkway. So the fact that it hasn't been torn down or ripped apart by freaked out kids is remarkable. Maybe they take it down at night. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know.
Crazy.
More. I think this is the last one. Ghouls outside of this house. I mean, these are all uber fancy houses that have been decked out and will be decked out until at least November 1. Wow, wow, wow.
Wow.
That's all I got.
Wow. Well, I'm going to talk to you a minute.
Talk about garbage.
About garbage. So one of the things we do, of course, when we have people who, you see this, right? Yeah. Okay. we help people like figure out how to get the garbage out of their new home, right? And so one of the things we do is tell you who your streets and sanitation person is, what day the garbage comes. This is the Chicago website that talks about garbage. But as I was getting ready this morning, I turned on my podcast and listened to Curious City. Do you ever listen to Curious City?
I do. I love it.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? So this week they were talking about garbage, and I thought, well, this is really interesting. So thanks to Curious City, I'm going to give you some scoop. Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
For those of you who live in condos, you just put your trash in the trash chute and your recycling in the recycling room and it goes away. But for those of you who live in single family homes or in buildings that are 4 units or less, you get the privilege of using Chicago garbage. So the city picks up about 600,000 households worth of garbage every week. Okay.
Wow.
Streets and Sand says that that means 800,000 tons of garbage are picked up every year. So if you extrapolate, according to the EPA, the average person in the US produces 5 pounds of garbage every single day. Let me hold my hand up there. 5 pounds, people. That means the average person is filling a standard 13-gallon trash bag about twice a week. So
That's me.
between 2010 and 2019, the amount of residential garbage declined, which is a good sign. People are being smarter, right? But then, not a surprise, over 2020 and the pandemic, garbage shot back up again. So the city, again, if you're from Chicago, you know this. If you're not from Chicago, you may not be aware that we have alleys behind all of our houses. And
Many.
really, pardon?
I lived in a neighborhood that didn't have an alley.
You were in an old neighborhood.
Old Town. Old Town has small blocks, but most have alleys. Yes.
Most have alleys. And each alley has about 25 homes. So the average garbage truck will cover 7 to 15 alleys in a day. Okay. So your garbage collector gets up around 4:30 a.m. to start their day, and they get dressed and prepare themselves for the smell. And that's what these people really said. It was the smell that kind of drove them crazy. But here's the other interesting thing that I didn't realize. They have to lift basically everything that's in the alley. So and all of it is fair game. Meaning if you throw a couch out in the alley, those people have to pick it up. A refrigerator, they pick it up. You're supposed to call 311, but not everybody does.
That's outrageous.
Well, that's how it goes, right? I know.
I thought people thought, oh, well, I think people think that if they leave it out there, somebody's going to come get it. But
well, that's what they're told to do. These garbage collectors in our city are told if there's garbage out there, then you're supposed to pick it up. And so she actually interviewed an all women's garbage team, and they were cute. I mean, I would recommend everybody go back and listen to it. Now, so you're supposed to call 311 if you have a really big item, but most people don't. Here's the other thing. Did you know that you could call 311 and have them pick up your dead pet?
No, but I need to lie down now.
I didn't know that. So,
when would they come for it? In 2 weeks?
Yeah. That I don't know. Technically, they say though, if you're a Chicago resident and the city collects your garbage, anything out there is fair game. Mattresses, old tires, hot tubs, basement sinks.
Can I come to a point that you made earlier? You made a point earlier that the garbage people prepare for the smell. What are some of their tricks for preparing for the smell?
Wearing masks.
Mm-hmm. Vaseline or whatever it is, the stuff.
Yep. Here, let me see. Let me find my notes.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, no. They chew gum.
Okay.
Oh, and they have incense in the truck. Yeah. So there was one other thing I was going to say, and now I can't remember what it was. No, these women were just adorable. I mean, they were like best friends now, and they talked about, oh, here's the other thing they say. People, be kind to them by putting your garbage. If you're in a house and you put it out there, put it in bags. Don't
Yeah,
just throw crap into the garbage can that comes out wet and everything. You know, remember, and they even the reporter who was talking to these three women, as the thing was crushing down, they got splashed with garbage. Yeah. So think about that, everybody. And I have to say, I live in a high rise, and one of our maintenance guys was cleaning out garbage, and somebody threw something down the chute that wasn't in a bag, and he got wet all over. And I be kind to your garbage collectors. I know that Tom and I used to always give them a holiday gift of cash. I mean, these people have a huge job to do, and it is
hugely important.
hugely important, and we just need to take care of them. One of these women said she does a salt bath every night to get over it. But I thought it was very interesting. So um, call your Streets and Sand. If you're not sure what that number is, call your alderman's office and ask if you need anything like new garbage cans or whatever. But that's the story. Garbage in Chicago.
Garbage in Chicago. Well, yeah, and a lot. I wonder why. There must have been old days where you didn't have to put things in bags, because I think people think that they don't have to. That, like, for example, we live in a building like you do with a garbage chute, and people think that the garbage chute goes directly into a dumpster, and then the dumpster goes magically to the landfill, and there's no. And once you understand how gross garbage is generally and how it gets everywhere, if you don't bag it,
Right.
I think people would try and help. I don't know. It's
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And of course, this was before our time, but Chicago buildings used to burn garbage. Remember that? They don't do that anymore.
you're not allowed to do that. Clean Air Act. Let's do election 2024, and this is
Okay.
just focused on real estate, because a lot of people have been talking about how our market's a little slow because you got you have my slide up.
Oh,
I made
for
slides.
sale? This is the one I've got.
Yes, thank you. It's stand on real estate. People, I did this first thing in the morning. Got me some slides. So this is, I tried to get where the, it does have it. You got to remove our names. You got to remove our names. There's more. Election 2024. Where you can't say it. I was like, I typed more words. So a lot of people have stood by the sidelines this summer because of the election. And people think, oh, it's going to be different after the election, blah, blah, blah. And it never is. No matter who wins, real estate always seems to go up. But I thought it would be interesting to see where the candidates stand. Now, so much of real estate is local, but I thought we'd start with Donald Trump's proposals.
Okay.
Calling to eliminate, so people, the thing that is charging up candidates and getting candidates to talk about their proposals on real estate is how underbuilt the United States is in the main. We are about 40% underbuilt for where we should be with our population. We have not, for various reasons, and it depends on different markets are in different positions, but we are significantly underbuilt for housing units. So Donald Trump's proposals are to eliminate certain regulations on new home constructions to help lower building costs, because that is something that a lot of builders and construction firms say it's just too expensive to build right now, and regulations are part of that cost. So he's game for eliminating certain regulations. He's interested in opening up portions of federal land for large-scale housing construction, saying that those communities would be ultra-low tax and ultra-low regulation. I don't know where those would be. I don't know where federal land is around Chicago. So I don't know how this would help us, but that's one of his proposals. He's calling to ban mortgages for undocumented people to help with the housing shortage. I mean, part of housing shortages, when you don't have enough housing, everyone, you're in competition with everyone, including, in his view, undocumented people. And promote home ownership through tax incentives and support for first-time home buyers. So those are some of the ways that the Republicans and Donald Trump propose to help us with our housing shortage. Now, tax incentives, one of the things that we lost in the last Trump administration was the state and local income tax deduction. Do you remember that, when we could take our, we could get was it a deduction or an exemption? It was something for
a deduction. It's a write-off of the interest on your property taxes and the interest on your mortgage, but they put a cap on it of $10,000.
Which affected some people, and so some people said, "Well, I don't need to own blah blah blah." So that was, so maybe that would come back. So here's Kamala Harris's proposals. She proposes, the one that's been getting a lot of headlines is $25,000 in down payment support for first-time home buyers.
But we already have that in Chicago right now.
We have a fund
for a forgivable loan, is what they call it.
For a forgivable loan, but it's not everybody, and
right.
it's not first-time home buyers.
No, that's right.
And when that fund runs out, it'll be empty. So yes, but one of the things that people are talking about is, will that just jack up the price of homes? So
it is a concern. Yeah,
there's nothing that's 100% great. There's no silver bullet. She's calling for 3 million new housing units for first-time home buyers through tax incentives for builders. So both parties are looking at, how do we give tax incentives to builders to make it more profitable? There's a $40 billion fund to help local governments to build more affordable housing. And there's a town or a county in North Carolina that she's using as a model. So this is a kind of get real money to local governments to build affordable housing. She supports removing tax benefits for major corporate investors who buy rental homes and raise prices. So one of the things that's been going on in a lot of communities is there are big companies, private equity, buying homes, turning them to rentals, and driving up prices. I don't know if that's happening in Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen it. I've heard about this in other marketplaces, but right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she supports legislation to prohibit the use, and this goes back to what you and I were talking about when we were talking about rentals, algorithmic systems to artificially inflate or reduce the supply or lease of people. It was early in the morning of leased units. So so it's, I don't know that saying you can't, that one seems tricky, but anyway, that's one of her proposals. There's some legislation that's in draft form in Congress, and she supports that. So these are what commentators have said, is that the political parties have not focused on real estate and have not come up with or articulated positions, that either one, that would really address what the industry is dealing with. So there you have it.
No, it's an interesting conundrum.
Yeah. I don't have the answers. Yeah.
No, I don't have the answers either. You talk to my husband, Tom. This is not sustainable.
It isn't. It isn't. People are frustrated. Now you and Tom are looking. If you want to talk about
well, I don't want to take up too much time. Yeah, we went out this weekend to look because, we're figuring out what our next move's going to be. Many of you know we live in a high-rise in the Loop, and we love living here, but there's some things going on in our lives that we are going to need some bigger space. So then that begs the question, where, how much, what do we do? So we looked this weekend at everything. We looked at condos in the Loop, near North, and Old Town that were 3 bedrooms plus. We looked at yesterday at single families, and we ran the gamut from Wicker Park up to Sauganash. And we were just looking for homes in that million to $1.5 million range just to see what's out there. Very little inventory, very little to choose from, very little in move-in condition. So, as you and I were saying before the show started, I really have empathy for people who are looking. And one of the things that's plaguing us is we don't really have a focus right now. And I said to you earlier, buyers, if you don't have a focus for exactly what it is that you need, it's a tough market in which to find something that captures your attention. You feel like the properties that are lovely are a little bit on the high side because, I've showed the chart every week of the run up in prices over the last 5 years in single family homes. But, I know both you and I, the first time we bought properties in the city or anywhere, for me, it was in Champaign, Illinois. You buy the property and figure you're going to make it your own, right?
Absolutely.
You've made your home your own.
100 times. Good Lord. Setting money on fire. One time and time again. But here's the thing. So I'm going to approach this from both sides. So from the buyer's side, yes, move-in condition makes sense. You are busy. You do not have time to take on a big project. You do not want to have to do this yourself. Oh my God, figuring it all out while you're working flat out, or when you're working from home. What am I going to do if I work from home while there's construction going on? I get it.
You lived through it.
But yes,
some counseling sessions about that, I think.
Yes. So I absolutely. But almost nothing that's an existing home is the move-in ready that you want. Okay? Almost nothing. And it's not like once inventory comes back, you'll find it. You won't.
No, that's right.
Because every seller's like, I lived here. It was fine. Why can't they?
Right.
Modernized it 15 years ago. It was fine. It's fine. Why can't they like it? Why are they turning it down? It's fine. And the answer is for real estate.
I'm going to spend this money. I want it just right. But no, you're exactly right. And we have heard and learned that buyers should anticipate that if the property's 85% right with location, price, condition, they should move on it, because if you're getting 85% of what you want, that's a good day. That's a good purchase.
No, 85% is jump on it.
Right.
And that's even in high inventory markets.
Right.
Because if you think just 15% of me having to do something, fine. But here's the thing. Size and location and financials.
Mm-hmm.
So think about how much is it going to cost me to own it? How much is it going to cost, for a condo? How much is the monthly HOA? Things like that. Think about those three. Those are the legs of the stool. Okay. Everything else is the fabric and the this and the that. You can change the other things. And over time, you will want to change other things.
Absolutely.
So
right.
if you need a home that's going to be your home for a while, focus on those and then choose something that is doable. Because you are not going to find move-in ready. I have a move-in ready, but it's a whole long story. But there's almost nothing that is move-in ready.
Right.
So, or move-in ready for you, because it's
right.
Don't miss out.
Exactly. All right. Well,
Thank you.
That concludes our show for today. Next time, I want to talk about rent versus buy and looking at the numbers.
Excellent.
Anything you want to chat about necessarily? We're going to be closer to Halloween, but I think all the Halloween decorations that are going up are already up, right?
Yeah, and I have to tell you, I went on the MLS looking for pictures of, because sometimes you'll see, but no one's fallen for that this year. No one's going to make a mistake putting Halloween in their MLS listings because those age badly.
Yes,
So, but anyway, but we'll
All
come up with something, and you know, it's hard for Ann and me to come up with things when the market is so quiet.
right. Well, right. We aren't experiencing big changes, but maybe we can talk too about some homes that are 85% right.
I'll do 85% of what Kyle.
Oh, there you go. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time on Monday Morning Coffee with Kyle and Ann.
Bye.